Yo, I was tagged in this woman's story because I talk about dusty dudes and their dusty behavior. And this woman is talking. She's the You can see this caption, long version. How my famous father abandoned me, then tried to sue me for talking about it. Y'all, we're gonna have to talk about this. Her daddy is Vince Coleman. He is a baseball player or was a baseball player, and I know little to nothing about baseball. I'm just putting that out there, but apparently this is a famous dude. I go to my Google machine. Vincent Coleman is an American former MLB player, best known for his years with the St. Louis Cardinals. She does mention St. Louis. So here is the article that she references. Now, for the people on TikTok, I will just embed her link in the caption so you could just click on it and you can find it. For the people that follow me on YouTube, I will be attaching her whole video so you guys can see it. So here is the article where she was interviewed about her deadbeat daddy. I'm not going to read this whole article. Some of it overlaps with what Taylor is saying, but let's just talk a little bit about who he is. Vince Coleman was an electric outfielder in the 80s with the Cardinals, known for his speed, daring leadoffs, and stolen bases. He made his debut in 1985 and set a single season rookie record with 100 stolen bases and scored 107 runs. He was the unanimous choice for the NL Rookie of the Year. He would lead the league in stolen bases all 6 seasons he played for the Cardinals at all that speed, but he wasn't fast enough to outrun the 2 mile per hour tarp in the 19. Yeah, who cares about all? After the 1990 season, Vince Coleman became a free agent. The Cardinals offered him a 4-year, $10.5 million contract, but he turned it down to join the Pond Scum Mets for a 4-year, $11.95 million deal. Okay, obviously, this is baseball issue. So this is where in the article, Taylor starts talking about her book, A Letter to My Deadbeat Dad. She wrote a book about her father and his rejection. It is a very well written book that will stir emotions. This book is available on Amazon. So she started writing the book after she bumped into what she now knows is her brother. This is her speaking in the interview. She says, when I saw him in the store last year, it was the first time I had seen him since I was 8 years old, talking about bumping into her dad. My mother was with me and we walked up to him. I asked him why he abandoned me, why he won't just talk to me. He continued to ignore my questions and wouldn't even look me in the eye half the time. All the extra details of that occurrence are in my book, but the way he treated me that day was traumatizing and I was very hurt by his dismissiveness. Interviewer asked her if he has any other children. She says, I have 2 older brothers from his first marriage and I talk to them daily. However, our father no longer talks to them. He wasn't at their mother's funeral, their high school graduations, and didn't even come to Vincent Jr.'s wedding. On the other hand, this past year, I found out that I have 2 younger siblings from his current wife, Denise Coleman, but she wants me or our brothers to have nothing to do with them. She has never once contacted me. His first wife was a great woman and made sure I was connected with my older brothers. The interviewer says, what's your main goal and purpose of writing this book? She says, the 2 main reasons why I wrote this book. Number one, I want to bring major awareness to this worldwide issue of absent or deadbeat parents who think it's totally okay to walk out of their innocent child's life and treat them as if they literally do not exist. Number two, I spent the last 20 years of my life being silent because I was too scared to tarnish his image and too embarrassed to admit my dad wants nothing to do with me. But that's over now. And I deserve to be heard. And it's important for me to finally let all of this out so I can heal and help others heal from sharing my story. Great things come from people sharing their stories. And I want to advocate for all who can relate. Has your father reached out to you at all since he heard about the book? She says, he has not reached out to me. He has only reached out to the people who have interviewed me and demanded they take down the interviews because he's scared and embarrassed that I'm telling the truth. I knew he was going to try to sue me, even though I'm his own daughter. That's just the type of man he is. This could all be resolved with a simple conversation between him and I. And all I've ever wanted was a relationship. Deadbeat dads harm people. They cause carnage. That trauma being abandoned, feeling like you're not enough, feeling like you did something wrong. It is terrible, and we need to highlight these people. And I will continue to highlight these people as I get these stories, because that is what we're going to be doing. They should feel shame. They should be shunned. They should be pariahs in society. Making babies and then just leaving the moms to take care of them is egregious, and it really needs to stop. It's been going on for too long, but now we have social media and we're going to talk about it. Like I said, her video, if you're on TikTok, will just be embedded into the captions. If you are on my YouTube page, I'm about to attach it right now. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
All right, guys, I am back with my true story of how my father abandoned me when I was 8 and then tried to sue me 20 years later for talking about it. My father's name is Vince Coleman. He is a St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Famer. He was married to a woman named Lynette. They had 2 boys, and they were living in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, with my father playing for the Cardinals, he was always in St. Louis. So, while he was on his cheating parade with multiple women, he met my mother, told my mother he was not married, told my mother he didn't have any sort of family, and proceeded to start a relationship with her. She even went to some of his games. They were not married. I came along. When I was born, he was not there at the hospital. He actually didn't meet me until I was 4 months old. So get this, 5 years later, Lynette still has no idea that her husband has a whole child. This is how she found out. My father took me and my 2 older brothers, mind you, this is the first time I ever met my 2 older brothers, on a trip. When we returned from the trip, my 2 older brothers go to Lynette and say, "We have a little sister." Yeah. This caused Lynette to file for divorce from my father. And she then met me and my mother, which my mother profusely apologized to her for what happened. And Lynette and my mother became friends, actually. Lynette told my mom, 1, Vince dishonored our vows, not you. There were many women that he was cheating with. And 2, she told my mother, it's up to us to keep these kids together because Taylor is the boys' little sister and I want her in their lives. He was in my life for a few more years and then started to become distant. He started treating my 2 brothers the same, which, mind you, he had from a marriage that he wanted. One day, I'm asking, why hasn't Dad called? Da-da-da-da-da. My mom kept this from me because she did not want to hurt me. But she called my father one day when I was around 8 years old and said, why aren't you answering Taylor's phone calls? Da-da-da-da. He said, that's your daughter now, and hung up. Never saw my dad again. Okay, so now we're just going to fast forward 20 years. I've been raised by a single mother, built a house, graduated from college. You know, I just went on with my life the best that I could. My mother did as well. One thing that my mother and I always like to do is go back home for baseball games, to go back to Busch Stadium. And we had never been to an opening day game before, so that was on our bucket list. And about 2 years ago now, we went to an opening day game. When we arrived at Busch Stadium, there's a store, there's Cardinal Nation, and there's a big store where you can go and buy all the gear. She asked me if I wanted to go in the store. I said, of course. We go into the store, and I'm looking at some gear, and I bump into a little boy. And it was weird because when I bumped into him, it was almost like I felt like I kind of knew him somehow, but I just was like, oops, sorry. And he goes, oops, sorry. And I remember thinking to myself, he's so cute. Y'all, this was one of the most traumatizing moments of my life. 2 minutes later, I hear a voice behind me. And I knew this voice from the depths of my soul. And I turn around and I see my father walking alongside the little boy that I just bumped into. Immediately, I knew that is my little brother. I froze. I felt like the world stopped spinning. I almost felt dizzy. Immediately, I start searching the store for my mother. Long story short, we go up to him and confront him. For those of you asking me, why haven't you asked him? Why don't you? I saw him face to face. And long story short, this is what happened. He did not answer my questions. He deflected all of my questions. And then he left the store to never be seen again. That's how it went. He would not answer anything. And he treated me like shit. So I'm in tears after he leaves the store, literally shaking. I have never cried this hard in my entire life. And some other things transpired after that, me learning about all this family I had on his side that I didn't even know, because he does not talk to any of his family. My grandpa, his father, recently passed away, didn't even come to the funeral. He didn't come to my brother's wedding, Vincent Jr., didn't even come to his own freaking son's wedding, hasn't met his own grandchild. I'm talking, this man literally has cut off everyone except for the sorry excuse of a stepmother he's married to now named Denise Coleman. I want to make sure y'all all know that name. Denise Coleman. Google it. And the sickest part is his first wife that he had 2 children by took her own life. Do you think he was at the funeral? It's Vince Coleman. What do you expect? So after I have digested all of this and had all of this trauma come to the forefront after so many years of just bottling it up and not talking about it at all. I mean, literally my closest friends, even people I dated, didn't even know who my dad is. I kept it a complete secret because I was ashamed. But the day I saw him in the store changed everything. And I was like, I have so much to say. I've always been artistic and creative. I used to write when I was little. I would write poetry. So I said, I am going to write a book. And this book is going to be for 2 purposes. 1, to help me heal, because it sure as hell did. It made such an impact on my personal healing. And 2, to help others navigate this exact situation of their fathers abandoning them. And I had so many people thank me for my courage to write that book. So I have Cardinals fans reaching out to me, people all over the US, doing interviews. It was amazing. And in 3 months after I self-published, I get an email. Not from my father. He didn't even have the balls to reach out himself. It's an email from his lawyer. A cease and desist letter stating that if I do not unpublish my book, not only if I don't unpublish my book, if I don't stop interviewing, if I don't stop talking about it on social media platforms, wanted to completely silence me, he will sue me. I think this proves that I was telling the truth. Because let me tell you something, only a hit dog hollers. And then on top of that, he then goes, so he can reach out personally to the people who interviewed me, demanding that they take down the interviews because he's ashamed and embarrassed and literally cannot even wrap his head around what's going on right now. So you can reach out personally to these journalists, but you can't reach out to your own daughter. Clearly you have my information, you have my phone number, you have my email, you even have my address. But you'd rather hide behind your lawyer than just have a simple conversation with your daughter and answer her questions about why you left, why you refused to have a relationship with her now that she's a grown adult that you haven't seen in 20 years. Why you choose to cherry pick and take care of my little sister and my little brother, who I just learned that I have, instead of all your kids.